What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hey Cuz. I'm Colette.
I'm Candis, and welcome. It is September, aka Sickle September, or however they say it. It's World Sickle Cell Month.
Yep,
that's basically what it is. Actually, let me correct myself. I believe it's National Sickle Cell Month. So in the United States, September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And if you've been following our page on Facebook, you've seen that we've been posting facts every day for the month, and we'll continue to do so just to get the information out there, get awareness out there. Knowledge is power, and information saves lives. That's how I feel. So welcome. This is our special sickle cell episode for this year, and we're glad to have you. I guess we're gonna just talk about sickle cell a little bit. I'll share some of my experience, and we'll answer some questions.
Right.
So sickle cell is a genetic blood disorder. So it's passed down through genes, through your parents. So you can't catch it. It doesn't just develop. You have to be born with it. So that answers one question. You're born with it. Baby, I was born this way. And so basically it causes a change in, I guess, the DNA of the red blood cells to where, a normal blood cell is shaped as a circle. And it's very pliable and bouncy, and it carries oxygen throughout the body. That's what our blood cells do. So they're able to bounce across the vessels and move freely. Whereas sickle cells are shaped as a C, or a sickle, which is why it's called sickle cell. And sickle cells are very sticky. They're hard, and they don't carry oxygen very well. So that's why they tend to get stuck. They'll get stuck together and stuck on the vessel walls, and they'll just clump up. And that causes a lack of oxygen to flow where it needs to go in the body. And that can cause pain. And because it is a blood disorder, it can affect any part of the body because, of course, blood goes everywhere. So that can lead to blindness, deafness, heart attack, heart issues, lung issues, pneumonias, acute chest syndrome, bone problems, bone infarcts, also called as avascular necrosis, which is a more chronic issue with the bones. What else? You can have stroke, all sorts of things, kidney failure, liver failure. Like I said, the blood goes everywhere, so it can cause anything at any time. And that's the nature of sickle cell. It's unpredictable. It's just completely unpredictable. You just never know what's going to happen. So you've known me all my life. You've seen it. As a patient, I know what it feels like, but we also oftentimes neglect to talk about the family members. That's something that I do take into consideration. Our families are impacted, our friends are impacted. And it just could cause a lot. I always tell people I'm a lot, comes a lot, and you just never know what's going to happen. And it's an adventure. That's how I feel. Life's an adventure.
I would say now, being older, understanding things better, that, when you do go into a crisis or stuff like that, I just reach out. I always do. I've always been the one to call you. Hey, how you doing? Or if you're physically near me and you look a little off, I'll be the first to be like, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you we're going to the hospital.
We're gonna have a sit down. We're gonna sit down.
Yeah. Listen, Candis is a lot, but sometimes, she needs a person to be like, no, this is not your choice anymore. We're gonna go take care of this. But when I was younger, as you guys already know, we said it multiple times, you've always been to the same school together and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes she got sick in class, or whatever the case may be, on our way to school or going home, or whatever the case may be. And because at the time she was more, I don't know, it's secretive, but it's her personal business. She gets to choose who she wants to share that with, but she never wanted that to be how people saw her. So it wasn't something that she went around school saying. So people just see her like getting sick and wouldn't understand what's going on. Or they'll just be like, oh, she's not feeling well. And then they'll just see an ambulance come in. They're like, okay, she's really not feeling well. What's going on? I'm just like, don't worry about it, guys. She's fine. Just give me her books. Give me whatever classes, homework that she needs to catch up on. She'll be back in like a week or so. Just give me whatever she needs. I knew what was going on. But of course, at the same time, yes, outsider looking in, a family member, who cares, you're just like, what can I do? What do I need to do? I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. Do I need to break this oxygen tank out the glass? the emergency and get it going, because I'll do it. So all you know is, I don't know what I need to do, but whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. But that was when I was younger. But now you understand that, there's nothing much that you can do from an outside perspective unless you are that healthcare provider. That just being there, that support, I think, is very important and necessary.
Absolutely, I agree. Just for people, I guess people with sickle cell, it's important to have a great support system. Like Clint said, I was a little secretive about it when I was young. It's weird, to explain to people. And as a kid, other kids, they may not understand completely what it is. So it is weird, but it's important, especially now as I'm older. I live alone. My doctor's always like, why you had to live alone? Why did you have to move out? But it's like, I want to be independent, but it is important to have a good support system. I have friends, my family, thankfully. I know it gets hard, and I know people, I'm blessed that I have my family, because I know people who didn't, and their families didn't know how to handle it, and they didn't know what to do, and they just kind of discarded them. It's very taboo in the Black community. It's very taboo in the Caribbean community, very taboo in the African community, still to this day. People will lie. I mean, there's divorces happen because of it, because they're like, how did this happen? Because people deny it. They're in denial. They're like, I don't have that. I don't have the trait. I don't know what you're talking about. And so it causes a lot of issues that you wouldn't even think of. So thankfully, I'm grateful my family, because I'm the last of my family. So my parents knew by the time it came to me. So they understood, they knew the trait. Of course, they had the trait with my sister. My sister just has the trait. My brother has sickle cell. I have sickle cell. So of course they knew by the time they got to me, they were a little more prepared. So it can cause all types of crazy family issues, especially with it being so taboo. I don't understand why, but I guess what it is really taboo in the Black communities and the Caribbean and African communities. And also, so I'm grateful that I have my family around, and they've always taken good care of me, and takes me to the hospital and stay with me in the hospital. Now I have my friends who I know I can call. And I explain that to people, when I get to know people, I mean, this is just part of me. So if you get a call at 3 a.m., don't be surprised, because for some reason, I always get sick in the middle of the night, like in the wee hours of the morning, the most inconvenient time. That's when I'm going to get sick. So you're going to get a very horrible call, sometime between the hours of 1 and 5 a.m. And that's that. So I have friends who I know, they will pick up and they'll come get me, or they'll take me to the hospital, or they'll take me home. Last time I was sick, my friend came, and it was so funny because she worked in the hospital on a different floor. So I would wake up to like meals just sitting on because she didn't have time. She's like, I didn't want to wake you. And I was just rushing. So I just wake up to meals sitting on my side table. But that's just, the kind of support that you need. And so as a person with sickle cell, be open to that support. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it just is part of your story. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. You didn't do anything wrong. It just is what it is. And so be open to that love, be open to that support. And then for friends and family, I encourage you to just, stick it out. It's hard. I imagine it is very hard to watch. I understand that as a patient and as a family member, because like I said, my brother has sickle cell. So I do get it from both sides. It's hard to watch. And especially you feel helpless, you don't know what to do. But like Colette said, it's important to just be there. And whatever it is they say they want, just do it. They want to color. Because look, I'm 30 now. I've been dealing with this my whole life. By this point, it's not anything new. It still hurts while, it's not like the pain gets any less. It still hurts in the moment, but I'm mentally prepared. So if I say I want to sit down and color and I'm moaning and groaning, just ignore the moans and groans and we're going to color. Or if we want to watch a movie, we just going to watch the movie. Just pretend like you don't hear that. And because it's like, everything doesn't warrant a hospital visit, especially with me. I'm very stubborn, like Claire said. I'm going to take it there. I'm going to take it there because I'm older now. I have, my mind is different. I can, meditate and breathe, and maybe I could work my way through it and not have to go to the hospital. I can treat myself at home. I can hydrate myself at home. I can, if I need pain medicine, I have that at home. Other remedies, I can use my heating pad or massage or whatever it may be. I'm the type of person, I like a distraction. I'll call somebody and I'll like, just sit on the phone. Like, just talk to me. Tell me about your day. Like, just talk to me about something. I don't care what it is, just talk, or I'll watch a movie. I remember one time a friend of, I think I had just come out the hospital. So my mom was having different people stay and watch me while she was going to work, just to make sure nothing happened. And one of my friends was sleeping over and I started to have pain. We're watching a movie. She's just like looking over, like, you sure you? I'm like, just play the movie. Like, just let me go through my process. So I understand. I see how it could be very difficult to watch, very uncomfortable. But now that I'm older, it's definitely not something I hide as much. It's definitely something on the forefront. I mean, if you follow me on social media, you'll figure it out pretty quickly anyway. So, and then people are just like, well, what's that? And I think that's great. Some people are not comfortable sharing, but I feel like as long as you coming from a good place and you really want to understand, I'm always willing to share, because that's how you increase awareness. You have to tell your story. Even at my old job, like I never told people, like, till probably over 5-6 years ago, it was never about information I volunteered. If I had to tell you, I would, but I didn't just go around broadcasting it because I didn't feel the need to do so. And since I was a kid, I would just disappear for a week or two, come back and, pretend like nothing happened. As I got older, I mean, that's just what it is. I just disappear and come back. And, hey, what's up? But when I was working, of course, I'm older. Everyone would always assume that I was pregnant. So I just would have like, okay, guys, I'm not pregnant. And then I would just explain, so. And sharing my story, like I said, it does increase awareness. It does educate people. Even as a healthcare provider, I have educated many of my coworkers because there are preconceived notions, unfortunately, about sickle cell patients. For some reason, I mean, not for some reason, we know reasons. Sickle cell, let me say this, it is not a Black disease. It is not a disease for people of color. That's just the face that you see more so in this country. But Hispanic people can have sickle cell disease, Mediterranean people, white people have sickle cell disease. You just don't know. But of course, like I said, predominantly it comes from places where it's close to the equator because it was a defense mechanism against malaria. So that is how the sickle cell gene came to be. So you find people who are in warmer temperature countries have higher rates of sickle cell genes and sickle cell disease. So yeah, so of course in America, most of the patients that you see are people of color, and there's discrimination in the healthcare system, just like there is in every other system. And we reap the repercussions of that. Sometimes you go to the hospital, you get piss poor care. They just assume you're a drug seeker. But it's like, what's the difference between sickle cell and cancer? Like, pain is not necessarily a manifestation of cancer. They do get, it could be a side effect of their treatments or what have you, but it's like, pain is a manifestation. Like, it's a side effect of sickle cell, but they get treated completely different. And you see this from pediatric care all the way up to adult care. They will throw narcotics at any cancer patient with no problem. But it's a sickle cell patient, like, they don't want to prescribe you, they don't want to treat you, they're going to give you tiny little dose in the ER. The pharmacy don't want to fill your prescriptions. It's like, I didn't get this prescription from nowhere. I didn't pull it out of the air. A doctor wrote it for me. So who are you to say that you don't want to fill it? And I'm not just making this stuff up. I've experienced this, where it's like the pharmacies don't want to fill your meds. And it's like, I need this. And my doctor, we have a good relationship, and he knows that I will take care of myself. I don't need to see him as often as other patients. So he trusts me. So he will write me larger quantities opposed to other patients because I don't see him as often. And the pharmacy, of course, is looking at this like, what in the hell? You're not like, why? We're not feeling it. And so it's very difficult. Like I said, I'm a person that I like to try to stay at the hospital, but it's hard to do so because it just kind of feels like you're trapped. You have a good relationship with your doctor, you try to do your best, but every now and then you get sick. So you end up in the ER where there's a lack of information, a lot of ignorance, a lot of stereotyping. And that's why I always say this as a nurse, as a patient, I practice this myself. You treat your patient. You don't treat a disease. You don't treat a stereotype. You treat the person in front of you. And just because you had one patient with sickle cell who maybe was a nightmare for you, when I come in, you don't treat me like that patient, because I'm not that patient, I'm me. And I deserve the respect and dignity of being cared for. It's your job.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you think, because the research shows it's less than 1% of people with sickle cell are drug addicts. So I don't understand why this treatment continues to go on. And and you could read people's records. I'm not in the hospital every other week. And even if I am, doesn't matter. If that's the way my sickle cell manifests in my body to where I'm that sick, oh well, treat me. And if I'm the person that I'm in the hospital once a year, treat me. If you're that paranoid, you can read my record. You can see I'm never here. So why are you still treating me like trash? It makes no sense. But there's all these implicit biases ingrained in the medical system that needs to be removed. The education needs to be better. You get like one page in a textbook about sickle cell. In medical school, same thing in nursing school. It's literally a page. So you would think with something, it's the most common genetic disorder. Most common genetic blood disorder. Especially in this country, especially in the metropolitan areas, you're gonna see it a lot. New York City, Atlanta, I believe Atlanta has the highest population of sickle cell patients in the country, I believe. So it's just like, what? I don't understand. Why are you still surprised? Where's the disconnect? Why are you so ignorant? Like, you're gonna see these patients. So it's just ridiculous. It's 2021 and you still encountering people who just have no clue. People still asking you, when did you realize you had sickle cell or whatever? It's like, it's 2021. Nobody's like, they do newborn testing. They've been doing that for a while now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the exact year or decade they started doing newborn testing, but it's like, it's no longer a surprise. I've heard stories where people said, I didn't know I had sickle cell until I was 16 or 6 or 10. My mom didn't know. They were running all these tests. That happened, but not anymore. Like, at least since the 90s. That's when I was born. I know they've been doing newborn testing at least since the 90s. So that's a question that you shouldn't be asking.
Wow.
It's just a little frustrating. I would say I'm a victim of the system, of the healthcare system. It sucks. I mean, it just, maybe that's why I got in it, to try to change. You know, I'm only one person, but little by little, I can change the hearts and minds of some people, even if it's just the people I work with, or, you know, even the nurses I encounter as a patient. But it's very frustrating. There should be a process in place, ER protocol, just like there's an ER protocol for a stroke, ER protocol for a heart attack, ER protocol for a severe infection. Sickle cell is a medical emergency. There should be a protocol for it, because people see you come in and you're in pain, so they want to treat that. But at the end of the day, we're still a body, and sickle cell can impact any part of the body. So you can't just treat the pain and neglect everything else, because it's going to be one of two things. They'll focus on your pain and not look for anything else wrong with you, and that's how a lot of people die. Or they're not going to do anything. They don't want to treat the pain because they think you're a drug addict. They're going to give you some Tylenol and send you on your way. So it's just like, be smart. And so sickle cell, there's many different variants of sickle cell, SC, SS, beta thalassemia, and others. And they, you know, in the books, they'll say one is more severe than the other, which I don't really agree with that. You can't really dictate someone's experience. They may manifest differently, but at the end of the day, I always say, this leads my practice as a nurse, everybody is different, and every space body is different. So you just have to treat the person in front of you and figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. It is frustrating. It's scary. It's scary. As a nurse, I know a lot. As a patient, I mean, sickle cell is a lifelong disease. So you get a patient that's in their mid-20s, they know what they're talking about. It's not like I'm just trying to dictate to you what I need. I know, because I've been dealing with this for 20 years. It's a long time. If somebody in their field was doing something for 20 years plus, would you not consider them an expert? So why then I'm a patient and it's a problem when I'm trying to explain to you? Clearly you don't know, but when I'm trying to explain to you, you got a problem. Like, that doesn't add up. It's just very frustrating to deal with all that. I always joke around. I say, I quote the Michael Jackson song. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. I really feel like that sometimes. Like they just really do not give a damn. I fear for my life every time I go to the ER. I'm scared. I'm like, I'm gonna die in this freaking waiting room. It's scary. And you see more and more, like over the past few years, a lot of the people who are dying are young. They're in their 20s, 30s, young. And for no reason.
Mistreated in the hospital?
Pardon?
For being mistreated in the hospital? Like not getting
different reasons, but I do think part of it is neglect, medical neglect. Because I feel like they do say sickle cell is an invisible disease because there's no physical marker. You can't just point somebody out of a crowd and be like, oh, they have sickle cell. So there's that. You can come in and look fine. Like over time, like I said, I'm 30. I've been doing this. So I could go to work, go hang out with my friends and be in a full crisis and then we'll never know. Because if I came in your ER screaming at the top of my lungs, you're going to have a problem with it. So when I calm myself down, you think I'm pretending. It's like you can't win for losing. Like I have better things to do than to sit in your ER for 10 hours. Why would I do that? It makes no sense. So I do get scared sometimes. So I try not to. I say sickle cell is in my life is significant. Like it's important, but it's not significant. Like it's an important detail to know, but it doesn't run me. It's not significant. So I just go about my day to day like it doesn't exist until I need to know that it exists. And then I deal with it and I go back to what I'm doing. Can't let it run me. It would drive me nuts. And it has. And that brings me to this other point, mental health. In chronic illnesses, period, the practitioners will focus on treating the illness. But if you're dealing with something on a day-to-day, it's gonna mess with your head. And that's one thing I feel like a lot of doctors drop the ball on is referring mental health care for their patients. It's very anxiety provoking. I would say there's a level of PTSD involved. Like going to the hospital is very anxiety, just the thought of it. You get a pain and you're like, oh no, please don't let me have to go to the hospital. That's PTSD, it's triggering. And this is something that people don't think about. It's depressing. Like, it's not something I like to focus on, but when I tell people some of the things that I've been through, they're like, oh my God. Like they just, it's mind blowing. And they're like, how are you still functioning? And it's very depressing. So of course, it's not something that I try to think about. It's not something I let run my life. So that's why I have to find balance between advocacy and just being. Because if I surround myself with nothing but sickle cell, good, bad, or ugly, it's overwhelming. So what else do the people want to know? I feel like I went off on a tangent.
No, listen, I can't talk about it. I don't live with it. But
no, but you've seen it.
Yes.
You're like an expert. If nobody else is an expert, if I'm not an expert, I bet you there's stuff Colette knows that I don't know. She be on it, okay? On it.
Listen, like she says, if you for a family member or caregiver, anybody with sickle cell, and your heart is in that person, and you see them go through crisis. Like I've been seeing both her brother and Candis going through crisis from the time I was young. So when you're young, all you know is, oh my gosh, they're in the hospital. Like, are they gonna come out? Like that's the only connection that you can make. And it took me years to understand, oh no, this is just something that they're always gonna have to deal with, but they'll make it through. That's how my mother explained it to me. But it's hard because they're just like, okay, I don't know what to do. But then after a while, you sort of learn. And I took it upon myself. I read their meds. I do. I look at things.
Nosy.
And you might think that, Colette, you're doing the most, but it's like, no, if I go to school and if they get sick, if to the point they can't speak, who's going to be able to speak for them? If the ambulance comes and they're getting ready to shoot them up with penicillin or something or blood transfusion, I got to be there to be like, no, they're allergic to that. Don't do that. Before their parents can come and say, hey, I'm already there. I'm already on the scene. So I wanted to know what is okay for them to have, what's not okay for them to have, what's their blood type, what's that? And it might be like, okay, you're super invested. Yeah, you're damn right. That's my cousin. So yes, I'm going to go above and beyond. I look for healthy foods. When they come and visit me, I go shopping and I buy stuff that I know is good for their system and nothing else. They can come and buy their junk food when they come here. I don't stop them, but I might have the essentials, best believe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you gotta go above and beyond. That's something you say that you care about. That should be second nature for you to do that, and not think much of it. You said you truly care.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's so important. Like, it's important. Like, I'm that way too, but that's the type of people. Like I said, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed that I've had people, all my family. Like, they know some more than others, but they know enough that no matter where I go, I know that I'll be able to be well taken care of. My friends, they found out the hard way. Some have found out the easy way. Some have found out the awkward way, but they know what's up. And look, some stuff has popped off on the vacations, but it's like, they know, like, all right, we need to go to the hospital. That's that. And they sit there and they wait patiently until I'm in a room, and then I'm like, all right, guys, you can go. And then they're like, we're just gonna sit here. I'm like, no, for real. Y'all can go now. Appreciate it. But those are people, I feel like those are people you need. Like, people you have to fight off, like, you're doing too much. Like, that's what you need. And I guess that goes into dating. Now that I'm older, we can talk about that. Dating. That's important. I can't hide that. And like I said, I used to hide it, but I feel like anytime I start talking to someone, when I was hiding it, it would always be found out in a major way. And it's like the universe just would be like, Candis, I'm lying. So I end up in the hospital within like the first month or first few weeks, like every time. So that's why I'm like, all right, let me start lying. I'm getting punished for my lies. Like, they always find out because I'll get sick very early on into the situation. So I feel like it's kind of a test as well to see what you got. Mm-hmm. And so now if I'm dating someone, I tell them up front, like, this is me, and this is what comes along with it. It sucks. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And so I always observe to see what happens. Like, do you ask questions? Do you take it upon yourself to research? I know people who print out pages and pages of research just to read it and learn. Are you secretly looking at my pill bottles and asking me if I took my meds today? What meds are you on? And what are you allergic to? What's your blood type? All these things. Like, that's what I look for. Because if you're dating me, then you need to know. Because like I said, it can happen at any moment. Any moment. I'm like, all right, I need to go. Like, I could be perfectly fine. And that's how I am. Everybody's different. Some people know, some people are chronically in pain. Some people, have certain triggers. I have certain triggers, but 9 times out of 10, it's random. And could be like, what the heck were you doing? And what's the answer half the time?
Nothing.
A whole lot.
I was sitting down. I was watching a movie.
And people know, like, with me, because I know my triggers, so I try to avoid them. Like, I have a hoodie. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of summer. I have a hoodie with me at all times. Like, I know I can't be cold. I can't go in cold water. So if we at the pool, I need to dip my toe. Let's see what's up with the water. Those are my main ones. So half the time I get sick, they be like, what was you doing? You just turned? No, chilling. I can't tell you how many times I've had a crisis sitting on the couch watching a movie. It literally can happen anytime, and for no good reason. And that's the same thing with the hospital. What were you doing? Nothing. That's the nature of it does what it wants. You can't, like, I can do my best, and I am doing my best, but it just is what it is. My blood cells are misformed, misshapen. I can drink as much water as I want and eat all the good foods that I want. Sometime it's going to happen. I'm not speaking that. There are people who haven't had crises in years, and I think that's great. They live their best lives. or maybe it's not severe enough. Who knows? People define things differently. I think I'm fairly healthy. I'm grateful for that. I don't get sick that much anymore. Past few years, like I said, I might be in the hospital maybe once a year. It's been my observation.
And you made it a year.
And I'm not. I've definitely made it a year, because I'll quote it. I'll be like, it's been over a year since I've been in the hospital. And I think that's amazing. You know, I've had times where I was in the hospital like 3 months straight. Like, I missed every holiday that fall. Like it's happened. I joke around, like I've been in the hospital probably for almost every holiday on the calendar. 4th of July, Thanksgiving twice, Christmas. I've missed some other ones too along the way. It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. And if you're my friend or my family or someone I'm in a relationship with, that's just something that you're gonna have to understand. And see if you want to deal with it. And it's okay if you're not. I'm just not for you. Everybody has their own things that they just don't want to deal with. And it's okay. I don't take offense to it. Just be respectful about it. It's fine. So yeah. Gets crazy out here.
You had some other questions that people wrote to you with, like, it was life expectancy and
life expectancy. So in the textbooks, these medical textbooks that are often incorrect anyway, I believe they say life expectancy is around like 40, 45. Back in the day, it used to be like 16, and then they said like 30. I don't believe in that, because how do you know? Did somebody actually do the research to see, like, you know, the most common age that people pass from sickle cell and why? I don't know. But I do know many people with sickle cell who are in their 50s and 60s. I believe you said the oldest documented person with sickle cell, 94 years old. I would be curious to know what her quality of life is like. But yeah, you can live if you want to. But that's anybody. You can live if you want to. If you really want to, if you do the thing, you educate yourself. Like sickle cell, like I said, it's a lifelong disease. It's not going anywhere. Are there cures? Kind of, I will say, because it's not like no for sure cures. Like I always, where I wear this t-shirt, I say it's not accurate. Survivor. I can't survive this. I'm surviving. It's an active word. I can't say, oh, I got, a treatment and the sickle cell's gone. Like, no, it doesn't exist for me. Yes, you can get a bone marrow transplant. It's very risky, and it has to be like exact match. You can get a bone marrow transplant or reject it. There are new treatments coming. There are new therapies coming. There are new possible cures coming. So we'll see. But as of now, this is my lot in life. So it would be in my best interest to be aware, fully aware of everything, what it is, how it works, what can happen, what can I do to prevent it, how can I help myself feel better on a day-to-day basis, how can I help myself feel better in a crisis. Mm-hmm. So life expectancy, I never really believed in life expectancy. They're not God. Mm-hmm. How do you know? I should have died at least 3 times over by now. I'm still here. Mm-hmm. Against the odds. So that's not something I think about, but I guess according to the textbook, they say it's between 40 and 45-ish is what they predict. But also, like I said, it's unnerving. I've seen so many young people die in the past few years. It's just unfortunate. And like I said, that mental health piece is so important because it's a lot. Like, it could be a physical reason. Sometimes it's a mental reason. I've seen people, they give up. They just give up. I've seen it as a patient and I've seen it as a nurse. I've seen patients who look great. They're barely in the hospital. And when they do come, it's not that severe. They're in and out, And then the last time we see them, it's just like, what happened? You can tell, like, they lost it. Like, they're not taking care of themselves physically. They just look completely different. So I think I mean, just in life, I think mental health is very, it's taken for granted. It's not, people don't treat it as as important as it is. And I think that's a very huge aspect. But yeah, I think you have to be an active participant in your healthcare. I believe that for myself as a patient, and I believe that as a healthcare provider. I tell all my patients, I'm like, nothing is the doctor's fault. Nothing is the nurse's fault. What are you doing? We're here. We see you once a quarter, maybe, if that, whatever the case may be. If it's your provider, they'll see you once a year, once every 6 months, once every 3 months. It's not their fault. You have to take accountability for your life. You have to take accountability for your health. I try to do the best I can. I cook for the most part. I don't eat out. I don't eat a lot of junk food. I don't eat a lot of fast food unless I'm just being lazy. Chinese food is my hospital comfort food. So yes, I mean, when you're in the hospital, they need you to eat. They're gonna bring you what you're gonna eat.
Right.
I mean, period. Do you want her to starve? Do you want her to eat the Chinese food? So, and that's what it is. But on a day-to-day, I eat majority of the food I eat, I cook myself. I try to go to the gym. I work out, as much as physically possible. I don't overdo it, but I work out. I am capable. And that's the thing that especially I encourage parents with, little kids who have sickle cell and teenagers. You're capable. My parents never babied us. Yes, there were things that concerned them they didn't really want us to do, but they expected us to go to school and they expected us to get good grades. Even in the hospital, Colette said she was bringing that homework. I had to do my homework. I had to get good grades. I had to graduate because I was capable. My mind works perfectly fine. I mean, nothing has happened to me where my mind doesn't, I can function. I'm capable of learning. I'm capable of studying. I'm capable of going to the gym. Even if my legs hurt, I've had some issues, those photos that you've seen, those x-rays that you've seen on the Facebook post, those are my actual x-rays. I do have 2 hip replacements. I've had 3 hip surgeries already, and I'm 30 years old. So do I work out leg day as much? Not as much, but I can work out my upper arms. I can walk on the treadmill for 15, 20 minutes. I can do something. I'm capable. So as long as I'm capable, I'm going to do it. And not only physically, mentally, emotionally, I try to surround myself with things that bring me joy. I've spent so many years stressing and worrying about sickle cell, and it put me in a depression, and I didn't realize it until a therapist told me that, but I was so depressed. It's stressful, and it will stress you out if you let it. And I've had people ask me, what do you want? And I really had to boil it down to something really simple. I want to be happy. Because sickle cell sucks. Like, it's a slogan. It does suck. It's trash. It's utter trash. So if coloring or playing with lanyard or riding my bike outside makes me happy, I'm gonna do it because I deserve it. And I feel like everybody should be that way. Do what makes you happy. If it's not hurting you or anybody else, do it. Because life is hard. It just is. So why spend time ruminating over something stressful where you can do something that brings you joy? Spend time with people who bring you joy. Spend time with people who appreciate you for who you are. I have a very dark sense of humor when it comes to sickle cell, but that's my business. I'm experiencing it. So if I want to make a dark joke, I will.
She does. She does. Huh? I can be a witness to that. Okay. 2 minutes before we came on this recording, I told Candis, the oldest person with sickle cell, 94 years old. You know what her response was to that? I don't got time for that.
That's too much.
What's your response?
That's enough.
I'm over here getting it hyped up. Like, yeah, she can live for 94. She's like,
that's enough. That's too much. That's too much. I mean, if I make it to 94, great. As long as my quality of life is amazing. I always tell people, I tell my family, my friends, if I'm in a situation and they say I'm going to come back and I'm not in my right mind, trip over the cord. And I might be joking, I might not be. That's all I can say about that. Just say it was an accident. I'm kidding. See, I told you, it's very dark sense of humor. But what does the Bible say? A merry heart is good like a medicine. I tell this to my patient all the time. I laugh a little. I'm not about to let this thing run me. I'm just not. I did for a little bit. I wasn't aware. It was running me. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna run it. I'm running this show.
There you go.
And if I get frustrated. Absolutely. Last what are we in 22? Last December, I had to have surgery. I was pissed. I just had to go through that. I was pissed. Pissed. Period. And that's okay. It's understandable. It's a perfectly rational emotion, rational reaction to the situation. I was pissed. But I had it because I didn't really have a choice. So I was pissed and I did what I could to strengthen my body. I was working with Colette. We was in the pool working out, getting my strength up, and I complained and I cursed the whole way. And I went and I had my surgery, and that was that.
And she's fine now, guys.
I'm here. I feel like I don't like the woe is me. I feel like sometimes when you see sickle cell and some of the advocacy and some of the things, it's like, why are we always telling a sad story? And I've told that to companies, who to work with advocacy and pharmaceutical companies. I'm like, I'm tired of seeing this sad story. Where's the person who's living and thriving? It's sad as it is. It's sad. It does get sad and it does get depressing and it does get tough. But that's not every day. It's not every day. You can live a full life. And that's why I started telling people I had sickle cell. Because I had to learn that it's not about me. It's about sharing my story so others can see and be inspired. You can live a full life. I travel. I love to see the world and experience new things. I love to eat, try new foods. I got my passport and I go wherever I want when I want to go. I'm not afraid of a plane. I've never been afraid of a plane. Thankfully, my parents are immigrants and I had to have a passport anyway. So I never had that fear. But you got to be prepared. Like I said, if you have a chronic illness, know the triggers, know what you need to know. Low oxygen doesn't impact me that much. I can fly with no problem, but they do have oxygen. If you need oxygen to fly, you can ask, you can tell them, they can set that up for you. It's no big deal. So I'm not going to let this prevent me from, I'm not going to live as a hermit. There's a whole world out there to experience. High altitudes is not good for people with sickle cell. I figured that out the hard way. The Bible says taste and see. I went to Denver. It's not for me. But I went. It was cool, No harm, no foul. But I did it, and it could stay there. I have jumped out of a plane. I went skydiving. Like I live. I like to ride my bike. I used to think I was in the X Games when I was a kid. I like to do little wheelies and flip my bike and on the scooter, on the rollerblades. We did it. We played. We did all the things that normal kids do. No problem. So yeah, you can live and thrive, and you, like I said before, you're capable. You're capable. Do what you're capable of doing. And if you're not capable of running a marathon or riding a bike or skating or doing a backflip, don't do it. But find something you are capable of doing. Something that makes you happy. But before I was saying something, I got sidetracked. My observation was, and don't quote me on this, is not medically sound. I don't know. I haven't really done research, but it's just an observation from people I know, that I feel like boys get more sick when they're younger. And as they get older, they seem to be more healthy. And with the girls, they don't get sick as much. And then when they get older, I don't know if it's puberty, it like flip-flops. That's just something I've observed over the years. Because like growing up, my brother was in the hospital way more than I was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And then puberty got me. I swear, it just correlates. I can't say that's the cause, because they say correlation and causation is different, but like I said, it's just an observation. Because after I was going through puberty, like sickle cell was ravaging me. I mean, it was giving me the business. I was in the hospital all the time. I was just living my hunky-dory life. And sis was like, no, ma'am, wake up. I'm here. I had to figure it out. And even with all the complications and the surgeries and all these things, I'm here. I graduated high school with honors. I graduated college with honors, not only college, nursing school, the death major of all, with honors. I'm working, I'm gainfully employed. I live alone, not alone, but I live on my own. I'm independent. And that was always a goal for me. Even if it's temporary, I wanted to live and be independent, because I seen growing up that so many people with sickle cell live with their family even into adult age, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you need, don't try to be a hero. I say it to everybody, don't be a hero. If that's what you need, that's what you need. But I just wanted to, that was just a goal for me. I need to know that I could do it. So yeah, I have great friends who love me, and they know that I have sickle cell, and they know that maybe sometimes I might disappear into the hospital, and they'll come see me and bring me Chinese food and ginger ale, because they know that's my favorite things, and spicy nacho Doritos, and play games. I've had Thanksgiving in the hospital, birthdays, countless of them in the hospital, surprise parties in the hospital. I mean, it just is what it is. It's like I said, it's an adventure. It's just a different story. It's funny to me now. It's not funny in the moment, but at least you can laugh at it after the fact. I have spent at least 3 birthdays in the hospital. At least.
Even vacation.
I know I've spent,
coming up to visit.
huh?
I said even just vacation, just coming up to visit and end up in the hospital.
I have been in the hospital for vacations. I got stranded in Florida one time with my friends. That was fun. They got to see sickle cell full force. They were with me in the ER. They didn't leave until I kicked them out. I have missed Christmas at least once. I had surgery Christmas Eve. I almost died by my 16th birthday. I was in the hospital. That was the first time I had surgery. I was 15 years old. I just graduated high school, and I developed a blood transfusion reaction, and that almost took me out by 16. I spent my sweet 16 in the hospital. And it was so funny because that was when that show Sweet 16 was popular, and they moved me from one room to the other. They were like, this is your little limo on the stretcher. It was cute. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. You just crack a joke. It's better to laugh than to cry about it. Thanksgiving, at least 2. At least. 4th of July. You know what? 4th of July was crazy because I think we were at a barbecue. I was perfectly fine. Like I said, it wasn't a turn up situation because I don't even think I was old enough. We just kicking it. And by 3 a.m., that's July 5th. So on my way to the hospital. And that's how it goes. That's how it's random. I just feel like it's spicy, you know, it just keeps me on my toes.
It's like you go out and have fun, and sickle cell's like, I'm gonna have fun too.
Right. Okay, I see you. Let's turn it up, right? But that's the funny thing, like, because I'm like, at least let me earn this crisis. I didn't even earn it. Like, why not get sick when I'm out there turning up for 10 hours straight? Nothing then. But let's watch a movie with some hot chocolate. Let's cuddle up in a little fleece blanket in our onesie and watch a movie. That's the one. Go to sleep. Like, that was fun. What a fun night. Movie night, game night, crisis. Like, it just makes no sense. But that's my experience. And I feel like it wouldn't be me if it wasn't that way. It has to be unpredictable for me. It just has to be. So I stopped trying to expect them, because I was paranoid at some point. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to have a crisis. I went a little hard in the paint. And then you wake up one eye open, you're like, I made it. Yeah. But they don't catch you in a couple weeks. Watch. So yeah. And that's how my body works. It's just unpredictable. Other people, if they turned up the way I was turned up, oh yeah, they're gonna be in the hospital next morning. No problem. And I've had conversations with some of my friends. I'm like, sir, you earned that one. Like, you know, you were not supposed to be doing that. Like, you was outside. It was chilly last night. You didn't have a coat on. You were turning up. You drank a lot. Alcohol dehydrates the body. If you didn't know, people with sickle cell not be dehydrated. And so even my doctors, that my MP told me before I was even old enough to drink, she was like, when you start drinking, drink equal parts alcohol, equal parts water. She didn't say, oh, don't drink, because that's not, I'm a drink. Most kids are going to dibble dabble. So at least tell them what to do. Mm-hmm. I never forgot that she told me that. If you're going to drink, if you have a cup of shot or whatever it is of alcohol, have a glass of water. And I've always remembered that. And I'll go home anytime I know I'm about to turn up. We go to the gas station. I'll buy me 2 Gatorades, and that's gonna be by my bedside. And that's how we do. So it's like, yeah. Sometimes you earn that crisis. It was fair and square, man. Can't even argue with it. But 9 times out of 10 for me, random. And then, it's annoying, right? But I feel like it's funny.
So you get to have those memories. You live.
Yeah.
You got
right.
through it.
Because I always get that text. And everybody's like, what were you doing? And it's like, dang, I don't even have an exciting story to tell you. I just want to make something up, honestly. But I can't even tell you nothing exciting. I was just sitting there, minding my business. Sitting on the couch. So, yeah, that's sickle cell. What else? Someone asked me, what does the sickle cell crisis feel like? That's tricky. My experience, I always say it's like, when you hit your shin on your car, or like, hit your pinky toe on the coffee table, that initial, like, that's what it feels like. But like, consistently and concentrated. Sometimes it's everywhere. Crises, they just do what they want. You have pain, sometimes that's just your whole body hurts, all of your bones hurt at the same time. Or there's times where all that pain that will be spread out in your body is concentrated in one spot. And that's been my new experience. I feel like for sickle cell, like it levels up. It's like a Pokemon, like it just evolves. It does what it wants to do. Because as a kid, I swear, I have this conversation with my friends all the time who have sickle cell. I'm like, as a kid, you had the little aches and you knew it was going to go away. Or even if you did go to the hospital, you knew you'd be out in like a couple days. So, and I would get usually my back would hurt. It was usually my back and my knees that would hurt. And then as I got older, I've had it where it'll be bad in my back and my knee, like that back and knee pain's not going nowhere. Like, you tried it, sis, no, we here. But then it would just spread everywhere else. And then like in my 20s, I started having these concentrated pains where all those, like that full body pain, like all that pain will be bundled up in a ball and it's just gonna be right here, like in this one spot. And like nothing you do is gonna make it go away. No amount of pain medicine, no amount of heat therapy, no amount of compression. Like I am I'm telling you, I'm a nurse. I know what to do. I will try it all. I will try it all before I call somebody to take me to that hospital. I swear to God, I will. But that little pain that it just wants to be right here, it will drive me nuts. And you just want to cut your arm off. Like that's what it feels like. You just want to cut that arm off. So yeah, if you ever hit your shin, that initial pain where you're like, oh my God, when you want to say the 4-letter words, imagine that pain over your entire body. And also, I have had pain, like sickle cell will remind you of body parts that you didn't know you had. Like, I swear. Like I've had a couple times that I had pain in my coccyx. The coccyx is the tip of the spinal column, for those who don't know. Very little, it's like that big. I've had a crisis in my coccyx. And I'm like, of all the places. Ain't no heating pad gonna touch that. I've had a crisis. I started getting in my 20s, crisis in my sternum. That's this bone right here. And the xiphoid process, that's the coccyx of the sternum. The tip of the end of the sternum. Like it will remind you it's like the body, like they get neglected, like, oh, you forgot I was here. Like it will remind you that you have a sternum. No other time when you think about this bone right here. You're just not. Like, you know, you got these bones in your fingers. Ain't nobody think about that. I've had crisis here. I've had a crisis in my face. Name it. One time, was it last year or the year before? Remember I texted you, I was like, I have a stress factor. Because you said you heard, that made me remind me of that. I was like, I know my foot is broken. I was like, my foot's broken because my coworker had a stress fracture at the time. I was like, it sounds the same. I have a stress fracture. I just knew it. It was a crisis in my foot. Never had a crisis in my foot in my life. That was one of the worst pains I ever had. And I'm just like, why? Like, why? Nothing else hurts. I feel fine. I don't feel fatigued or anything. Just my foot. Just want to hurt. Like, they ran every test, every scan they could. Because I went to the ER. I'm like, I told him that. I was like, my foot is fractured. Like, I wouldn't even think about sickle cell. I didn't even mention it. I was like, my foot's broke. Nope. So it's just like, it just does what it wants. So yeah, pain is definitely one of the most common things that you experience with sickle cell. But you also, you know, as you get older, I'm learning, you get the chronic pain. You just feel like an old lady, like, and people are like, cancer's so dramatic. I'm like, I swear I'm not being dramatic. It really does kind of hurt to sit and stand right now. I mean, if you imagine, like, I'm 30 years old. Sickle cell, you've had sickle cell your whole life. I remember getting sick. I've gotten sick. I know I've been in the hospital in kindergarten. So I've been getting sick like a good 28 years plus. Well, 25 plus years straight. I've been getting sick multiple times a year. Imagine what that will do to the body. At some point, you're gonna just tired. So I'm now starting to feel, you know, the fatigue. You're just tired. That's very common with sickle cell because, like I said before, your cells carry oxygen. If your body's not getting enough oxygen, yeah, you're gonna be tired. So imagine at the end of the day, you're tired, right? Mm. But I started the day tired. So imagine what I feel like at the end of the day if I woke up and I felt that way to begin with. It's like you're already starting. It's like you're at the race and you're up here. I'm starting back here and we got to run the same race. That's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. Just to get through the day. Sometimes I have to break that day. Like people forget. Like I said, sickle cell is invisible. I don't look like there's anything wrong with me. You would never know unless you know me. So like they forget. They're like, Candis, what's wrong with you? You was mad sleepy. You always say you tired. I'm like, okay, guys, I hate to bring this up, but you know, remember this blood disorder that I have. I'm tired. And I'm the type of person, I don't want people to worry about me. I'm going to show up to the functions. I'm going. Even if I had a crisis that morning, I'm going. If the function starts at 7 and I got sick at 10 a.m., I'm going. I'm going. Unless I'm just like on the way to the ER, I'm probably going to be there. But people forget that. And that's not their fault, really, because it's partially my fault because I'm a good actress and I've been doing this. I've been able to pretend like I'm perfectly fine when I'm really not. So it is partially my fault. And people expect more of me than I am capable of sometimes. So sometimes you just have to remind them, well, yeah, I'm tired. And this is why. And I will go through the anatomy and be like, yeah, my blood cells are broken. They don't work like yours do. I am deficient in the oxygen. That's why I'm tired. And they're like, oh, you're right. You leave me alone. It's fine. I used to tell my nurse professor, because she has asthma. I'm just a nerd. I'm like, you got a ventilation issue and I got a perfusion issue. Like, what a pair. But it's, yeah, that's how I feel. I'm like, sometimes I'm just tired. I don't have it in me. And I'm the type of person that will go above and beyond. I'm the turn up queen. I'm the life of the party. But yeah, sometimes I just don't have it. And that's when I have to have grace with myself. And I have to be able to say, can't just say no. Say, no, you can't show up this time. You can't do it. And that's something I had to learn as I got older. Say no. And don't be guilty. Don't beat yourself up for it. That's my story. Like, there's so much I could tell you. So much I could tell you. But yeah, my takeaways from this is if you do have sickle cell, just educate yourself. It's nobody's fault. And you're getting sick, it's nobody's fault. But at some point, especially as you get older, you become a young adult, it's not your fault, but you do need to take accountability for your health. You can't blame everyone for everything. Because sometimes it's you. I had to come to that conclusion myself. Sometimes it's me. Yeah, I was out there doing stuff I had no I should have been in bed by 10. That's on me. I can't blame the doctor. I can't blame the nurse. And then when I decided not to go to the ER when I know good and dang well I should have been there, I can't get mad at them. It's not their fault. That's on me. And so like I said, be an active participant in your health and wellness. It's your holistic being, mind, body, and soul. It's important to look at all aspects of that. Eat a balanced diet, some form of physical activity within your realm of capabilities. Go to therapy. I say that to everyone, chronic or not. Go to therapy. Everything matters. Like, you really have to look at yourself top to bottom. You got to see the bigger picture. At some point, you do have to take accountability for your health. And then on top of that, surround yourself with people who care for you and who love you and who are not going to judge you. They're not going to look at you as less than. That was one of my biggest fears. Sickle cell, it wasn't a fear, it was a reality. I felt less than. I felt broken. I felt like I wasn't good enough. Who would want me? Why would somebody want to date me or marry me? Why would someone want to be friends with me? I don't want to go to my family's house and trouble them. What if I get sick while I'm over there? I don't want to bother them. You go through these feelings and you have these thoughts. I've had these thoughts. Sometimes I still do. And I don't want to go over there. What if I get sick when I go over there? They have things to do. They got to go to work. But if people really love you, it doesn't matter. And it's a tough lesson to learn. I'm very stubborn. I'm always learning it. But I have to humble myself because I have this conversation with my therapist. I will probably always be reliant on people. And that's a life lesson for my personality because I'm just a strong personality. So maybe that's just something I needed to learn. I have to be able to rely on people and trust people. That's just part of my life. I can't live this life alone. I will die. So to the people who I know and love and know me, I do want to say I'm grateful for you, my
welcome.
family, my friends, my squad. What'd you say?
I said, oh, you're welcome. I'm being
Colette has been putting up with me for many years. Like I said, we've been in class together since kindergarten. It's a long time. She's been hauling my books and my homework. She did that for 9 years straight, maybe 10 if you count 10 years straight. I'm a lucky girl. I can't complain.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can go more into detail on the stories another day, but I hope you did learn a little bit.
So people get involved.
If you love someone with sickle cell, get involved. If you love someone with sickle cell, spread knowledge, spread awareness. That's something you can do. It's not just when they're in crisis. I feel like that's the least important part. The most important part is the day-to-day work. Get the policies changed. If you're in healthcare, speak up. Talk to your coworkers. Talk to administration. Change some stuff because stuff needs to be changed. Okay? So that's how you show that you love someone. That's how I feel about it. I'm going to knock on somebody's door. I'm writing notes. I'm writing emails. That's what we on. The crisis is the least of it. That's what once a quarter, if that. I do appreciate you being there for that, but there's other things that needs to be done. If you've seen all the posts we have on follow Hey Cuz, we put so much information on there. If you love someone with sickle cell, share it. Mm-hmm. That's very important. Spreading the knowledge is one of the most important things that you can do. So after this, I hope you know what sickle cell is, you know a little bit more about it, how it impacts the body, how it impacts your people's lives, people's friends, people's families. And if you have some questions, just drop them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this. It's very important to me personally. And I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. You can post them in the comments. If you want a direct message, hey Cuts, I'll answer them for you. But thanks for listening. This was not as uncomfortable as it would have been 5 years ago. Probably would never said that. But yeah, look at growth.
Won't he do it?
Won't he will. Thank you again for watching another episode of Hey Cuz. We love you guys.
Bye, guys. Spread the word.